Okay, so today we're going to epoxy a tumbler. It has some coarse material on it, kind of like glitter. It's actually coffee grounds is what it is. You can see I'm mixing my epoxy, and it's really warm out today, so I don't have to worry about mixing too slow. But you do want to make sure you mix until the epoxy is clear. Try to avoid bubbles, and you want to a couple times scrape around the outside edge and across the bottom, because that sucker will stick down there. So once I see that it's clear and has few bubbles in it, if you get a bubble, you can move it over to the side and it'll kind of pop itself. But when you're putting it on with your hands, it's going to kind of go away anyhow. It's harder if you're not using a glitter or something behind it and it's just a solid color, because then you can see the bubbles if you do have any. If you want them to be gone before you put it on, you can hit it with a heat gun real quick. I don't usually have that issue where I need to worry about that unless I'm doing alcohol inks. So we look pretty darn clear right now. I don't really see any more swirls. And I like a tongue depressor as opposed to popsicle stick, because they're a little wider. I happen to work for a medical supply company, so they're easy for me to get. Make sure you wear your gloves. Now I want this to spin away from me, and naturally the first time I turn it on it doesn't. It's kind of random with this particular spinner. There we go. So what I did was I Mod Podged and put on a coat of coffee grounds, and then I let it dry, Mod Podged again after I brushed off with like a makeup brush all the excess, and then put another Mod Podge and coffee layer, let it sit overnight, took everything off of it that was extra, and sprayed it with clear sealer. And then I use electrical tape around the edges instead of painter's tape. I find that it works better. I also have electrical tape along the bottom here, because on this particular one, I don't want to epoxy the bottom. You do have to remember after about 30 to 45 minutes to take that tape off, or it's going to cure with your mug and you won't get it off. So the first thing I like to do is just put a little bit on my finger and go along the top and bottom edges. Then I don't have such a hard time later blending that all in. And I'm trying to keep it off the bottom because it is easier to not have it there. And this is going to get multiple coats of epoxy, and after each coat and I let it dry overnight, I'm going to put tape back on before I epoxy again around the edges, or again, it's not going to come off at all, or it'll be really ugly if it does. My mom might show up in the middle of this. She's kind of mouthy, so she won't know what I'm doing, and she'll be like, "What? Oh, sorry." Anyhow, parents, they're so hard to raise. Now, since I have the top and bottom pretty decent coat on there, and I want it thick on this kind of material but not falling off, then I kind of just put it on there. And I don't like the foam thing that comes with the turner, so I use those dollar store footballs that come on like a set of wings or something, and then I just duct tape them on and squish them. I might not have made enough epoxy, shame on me. Usually 25 ml will take care of it. However, with this thick stuff, I'm gonna give it a minute. I do have it on pretty thick in some places, so I'm gonna make sure you get everything. And I don't do my coats very thick at all, because you're better off to sand in between and do other thin coats. It just seems to not give you as many issues down the road. So that's why I really only would use 25 ml on this guy. Normally, I think we're going to be okay. You do always get a little bit that comes off, even if you seal it, but this isn't doing too bad today. Yeah, we're going to be okay with this nice thin coat. And you can tell when the whole thing's just kind of shiny. Might be a little weird on that one side. This is falling off of it too. Yeah, I'm okay with the 25 ml. Like I said, it's going to look chunky, rough. That's okay. Because it's going to be nice and smooth after the next coat. So basically, that's all you need to do to epoxy glitter, sand, or coffee. Whatever the case might be if you have something rough. So patience just paid off. One thing I like to do, because I don't put this in my inside trash, is I grab this cup with my one hand that has the epoxy on, and I pull it inside. And that is how I clean up. And I press and seal over my workspace because I like it better than foil. It's a lot less expensive. You can do a lot more with it. So we'll just let that spin for about 4 or 5 hours until I can turn it off. It'll be pretty dry at that point. And after the 30 to 45 minutes, I will set a timer, and then I'll take that tape off the top and bottom so that it does seal properly and doesn't get permanently stuck on there with the tape. So hopefully that helps you to learn how to epoxy a coarse covered tumbler.